WILDR folks, Alicia here. This week's video is about my top internal rotation exercises that you can do in the gym that are going to translate to having more fun out skiing or running or hiking. Now, this week in Southern Alberta, it is minus 36 degrees Celsius outside, so I've got the heater going. I'm so sorry if it's messing with the audio, but I'm gonna do the best I can to make it as clear as possible for you. When it comes to skiing, internal rotation is gonna help us get bigger angles and feel more control of our skis. In fact, I've got a video that I'm gonna link here that is going to show you a drill you can do on hill to help get that internal rotation as part of your turn. When it comes to hiking and running, internal rotation of the hip is going to reduce the load on the low back and knees, making it safer and reducing the possibility of soreness in those joints when you go out for a big day. I want you to try out these movements and leave a comment about how they went. Our first movement of the day is actually one that I talked about in that last video, and that is simple standing internal rotation. It's a test to see how much rotation you have at different angles, but at the same time, you can also work on it to build strength. And you can always add a band to the movement to increase the resistance against you internally rotating. But we want to do this exercise in a closed chain situation as well. Closed chain just means our feet are on the ground, and that's going to better mimic hiking and skiing and everything else in between. Our first closed chained strength movement is our 90-90 kneel ups. Starting with a block underneath the hips, we can get those feet close to us or a little farther away as we gain flexibility, and we simply push through both ankles to get ourselves up into a kneeling position before coming back down. Now from there, I like to plant my feet, windshield my knees over to the other side, and complete the movement on my second side. As you get better at this movement, you can decrease the height of what you're sitting on until you're right on the floor, and then to make it more difficult, again, get those heels farther away from the body. My third exercise is a windmill. Now, for this purpose, we are doing windmills with the weight or with no weight in our lower hand. But what you want to do is you want to point your feet one direction, hitch the hips the opposite direction, and then hinge at the waist to come slightly forward and over to the side. You'll notice that you're internally rotating at the hip to make that action happen. And you'll want to watch out for the common flaws here. Don't let your low back get sloppy or noodly here. We want to be hinging from that hip position, and that's going to allow us to access that internal rotation. Exercise number 4 is a squat. Now you'll often hear me talking about getting the knees out in a squat, and that's just to use your external rotators to help you move up. In actuality, we also need our internal rotators to be able to move ourselves straight down into that low squat position and to stabilize the hip as we come out of a deep squat. When using squats to bolster the strength of our hips, we want to make sure we aren't doing too big of a pelvic movement at the bottom of the squat, and instead we're keeping our pelvis neutral as we head down into our low squat position. And if you need to make these squats a little bit easier, you can prop up the heel. Most times it is dorsiflexion, especially for us skiers, through those ankles that struggles and makes squats hard. Complete your squats in that position while independently working on increasing that dorsiflexion through the ankle. As you get better, remember to remove those weights so you can do your full range of motion. And if you find that even getting into these ranges of motion is challenging for you, you might want to start by stretching internal rotation as a movement. I'm going to have another video, so make sure you subscribe so you see when that one comes out, on my top stretches for internal rotation at the hip joint. Okay. Have a wilder week. Thank you so much for being here and putting up with the heater being on for sound. I hope you have a wilder day, and we'll talk to you soon.